This statement is evidence in a federal lawsuit and pertains to Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano songs. Bruce Springsteen knew I was writing Bob Dylan's songs for over 11 years, yet never once did he ever mention it to any publication anywhere in the world. Springsteen asked me to keep the fact that he knew about my working with Dylan quiet, which I did for years until I realized that there would be no compensation for all the years of work I put into it. It would be impossible to be taught or schooled in writing songs for Bob Dylan. I came to realize that I was being paid with promises that were never kept by Dylan's camp. To this day, I still have Bob Dylan's personal P.O. box address in my wallet. When I finally realized I was being lied to by Dylan's camp, I filed a copyright infringement lawsuit against Dylan. No one knows how much work it was. First of all the songs had to meet Dylan's standards. That wasn't easy. Second of all, you had to be modest. You can't run around telling people, hey, I write songs for Bob Dylan. They look at you like you're crazy, and then they label you as a liar and don't want to talk to you anymore. We're talking about Bob Dylan, the most highly acclaimed songwriter in the world, idolized by the Beatles and quoted by presidents. You don't just sit down one day and say to yourself, I think I'll write a song for Bob Dylan. It doesn't work that way. You have to pick up the guitar and jam for hours by yourself until you come up with a melody. That melody has to be uncommon and as original as possible. It also has to sound sophisticated to match equally sophisticated lyrics, and it has to be compelling. Although it's something I enjoy doing, it was still rather difficult. Then you have to tweak the melody and make changes to it until it's completed. It's extremely difficult and takes a great deal of time and effort. Then, of course, you have to teach the band the song, rehearse the song, and record and mix the song before it gets submitted to Bob. Getting back to Bruce. Springsteen and I were both working with the same producer at Sony, John Hammond Sr., who I had auditioned for. Duke Ellington, Aretha Franklin, George Benson, Pete Seeger, Dion, Springsteen, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Bob Dylan were all Hammond affiliates. Dylan, Ray Vaughan, and Springsteen were all signed to CBS on John Hammond's recommendation. At the time I was invited to audition for Mr. Hammond, I was working with a man named Alan LeWinter, who was the manager for the band Kansas, and from what I was told, was Don Kirshner's right-hand man. I believed it when Alan brought me to a Kansas concert at Capitol Theater in Passaic, and he and I sat with Mr. Kirshner. Alan also went on to work with the Rolling Stones.